I want to shift gears to it in a different direction on this. Let's look at the political ramifications of this. And first of all, I want to look at this from the Democratic side. What is this going to mean for the Biden campaign? Because one of the things that I've seen this morning already has said that almost certainly this is going to end any possibility, any talk in the Democratic side of replacing Biden. They said they're just not going to go there. They think it would be a political loser. I'm not sure that that's going to be a political winner, though. First of all, let's go to you, Matt. How do you view this as affecting the the Biden campaign?
Oh, it certainly is disastrous for the campaign. A campaign that was already failing. And now, again, I'm being generous again. I'm being too polite here, but failing. But a campaign, and this is Tony's point before about the conspiracy theories. Why would Trump and his campaign stage this when he's already winning? Just in that alone. But I mean, certainly the idea of presenting that image of Trump. The one photo from the AP where he is surrounded by the detail. He's got his fist in the air. He's got blood on his face. The determination, the look of determination, and then he's got the American flag behind him, like Jesus hanging there on the cross, basically. You couldn't have gotten a better photo. And I can understand why people say it's staged because it is so iconic. I mean, it is, but you contrast that with a doddering President Joe Biden. A man who is clear to us entering into some degree of senility and dementia. You put those two up there, and this is a complete disaster for the Biden campaign. And I think what you'll see is those Democrats who have been opposing Biden, because I've seen the same things today, Danny, the Democrats saying we're not going to oppose Biden anymore. We're going to go along with it. It's not worth the fight, or exactly saying that it's not worth the fight. It's over. Let's just all focus on 2028 now.
Okay, Tony, over to you. Now, let's look at that again, sticking with the Democratic side. Give me the pros and cons of doing what they claim that they're going to do, that they're ending the talk about, say, for example, elevating Kamala Harris to the top of the ticket or Gavin Newsom, whoever else, it doesn't matter. What are the pros and cons of keeping Biden in versus replacing him, and how does this all affect the Democrat side?
Well, let me just say, Danny, I'm on Team Joe. Just saying, you go, Joe. I'm all for it. Thank you. And I actually am.
I always suspected that about you. I got to say.
I know. I've come out of the closet. Plus, I'm a Druid, and I actually enjoy sky-clad ceremonies of naked women dancing around fires too. But I'm digressing.
Yeah, we digress. Yeah, let's don't digress.
Need to get back on topic. Sorry. Anyway. My point being, boy, wouldn't that raise the ratings if they did that in Milwaukee? Sky-clad women around fire. But anyway, we don't want to go there. So anyway, but my point being is, I'm being a bit over the top on this, but no, Joe Biden, they have what was that term? You reap what you sow. They've sown this. They as Matt said in the beginning. Look, they've been demonizing Trump for years, and then finally something bad happens. You're surprised by that? I mean, come on. You've created the conditions for the level of hate necessary to achieve the outcome we see. Period. So I think the wiser folks at the DNC have recognized that anybody else you throw in there to potentially take Joe Biden to take his place, they're going to be collateral damage. That the damage is just going to get worse from here. And so I think they're going to just let Joe be Joe. And Kamala, I don't think anybody wants Kamala on their side, to be honest. Maybe Matt knows more about this than I do, but I don't think they want Kamala. I think that's the last thing they want. So I don't think they're going to try to shift horses, so to speak, from Joe to Kamala.
So then if what you say is correct, if they are saying, hey, 24 is over, let's start looking at 28, then I guess it actually does make some sense to say, let Biden keep, taking all the slings and arrows the rest of the way through, as opposed to tarnishing anyone else.
Yeah. Look, he's the sacrificial lamb, I think, at this point. As much as had this not happened, we would be having a very different discussion about policy right now. We'd be talking about the faux pas of Biden calling Zelensky Putin, really, and calling Vice President Trump Vice President Harris, Vice President Trump, we'd be talking about that. And of course, the fact that Ukraine walked away with another bundle of cash from NATO. I mean, I think we three would have a great. And I recommend if the folks watching us now hasn't gone out and watched Danny's video outlining this, you need to do it, because it is brilliant. I'm not saying it because you're my friend. It is truly brilliant, and I know our friends in Europe are going to have taken note of it already. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing too, if you give up Biden, if you let Biden go through with this now, and this whole aspect of don't tarnish someone else, as you guys just said, right? So not only you're also not saddling whoever your prime candidate is for 28 with the inflation. Yeah. You're not saddling them with Gaza. You're not saddling them with losing Roe v. Wade. Wow. I mean, this is all stuff that a Democrat, they don't have to campaign on. That was Joe Biden's fault. I think the big hesitation, one of the big hesitations you're seeing is that this is Biden is part of the Clinton-Obama camp, right? It's the Clinton-Obama clique that Biden is a part of. And it's those people who are grasping at power now, those who are pushing for someone else to replace him. They all represent factions in the Democratic Party that are not especially a part of the Clinton-Obama-Biden dynasty, if you will. That's right. That's what we're seeing here is a change in power within the Democratic Party. So the smart thing for them to do is, of course, to sit this out. Fascinating. This puts the knife into the Clinton, Obama, Biden camp, and it allows for the next generation, whoever that's going to be, Newsom, et cetera, Newsom, Whitmer, whoever, to be the new power faction.
So let's shift to the other side. Let's look at this now. I know, Tony, I know you're a Joe guy, so you may not be a good one to talk about this, but let's look at the Republican side. So obviously, Milwaukee's coming up this week. So it was already going to be a big ratings hit for the Trump team anyway. Now that on top of this, I can imagine there's probably going to be, maybe the biggest audience ever for the nominee's speech coming up at the end of this week, because everybody's going to want to know what he's going to say when he accepts the nomination. What happened to the Republican Party here?
So, well, we have a problem in the Republican Party where we have a bifurcation, much like the left does. And I'm not going to speak for Matt, but I wanted to comment on my observation. I can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but we have a problem by the fact that you have the establishment Republicans, the rhinos, who really do want to have they're allied with the Obama Biden folks, so they're very happy, throwing more money at Ukraine. They benefit from it. It's just that right now we don't have it. It's not as obvious. The neocons are not welcome in our party, and the neocons and the neolibs, I think, on the left, represented by the Biden folks, have been in control of the party in the left for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I think, again, I'm not going to speak for Matt, but I wanted to comment on it. I think there were conscientious, well-meaning, good-hearted folks like Matt on the left who really did believe in the principles of the party, but those who believe in those principles are not the ones in charge. And it's the opposite in the Republican Party right now. Those of us who are populists, I don't know if you want to use it as popular. I'm a libertarian, but we are the ones on the ascent right now. You guys know I advised Trump. I talked to him, and I was a national security advisor to Trump 2020. So the neocons are being depressed. Those who are allied naturally with the Obamas, with the Bidens, with the Clintons are being diminished. But it doesn't change the fact they're going to try to make some very strong statements. I mean, I'm kind of surprised. Nikki Haley, neocon Nikki, she's kind of trying to be somewhat reasonable. I've seen some other voices. I don't want to get too specific here. I'll get in trouble because I'll be yelled at, just saying. But I think there's some voices on the conservative side who need to be suppressed. And because they represent that.
By the way, Tony, I got notice actually just a few minutes ago from a source who has some level of history of being right on some things in the Republican Party, claim that there's actually a shot that Nikki's going to be the VP announcement later today.
No.
Man, I hope you're right, but this person's got a good track record. I'm worried about it.
No, don't worry about it.
Are you saying that with your heart, or because you don't think they're going to do it?
It's not going to happen. I have a pretty good sense of who he's picked, and I can't say, but it's not Nikki. So just saying.
May you be right.
One of my thoughts relating to all this has been that, my God, if this kid had been successful, Nikki Haley most likely would have been the nominee. Ooh. And then we would have been in a war with China and or Russia. Like Nikki Haley, the worst of all possible things. And Nikki Haley nomination would be something that would make me, consider voting for the Democrat. I'm not going to, but like that's how bad Nikki Haley is. I mean,
I want to say this too. Matt was badly mauled when he was running for office. I'm running for office locally here too as county commissioner, and as someone who believes that we should have a democratic process to have a discussion. And the Democrats in North Carolina are vicious. They wouldn't even, and Matt, remember, we talked about this. They wouldn't even let anybody vote on Biden. They basically said, oh yeah, we're not going to have a primary. Thanks.
Yep. But they're also, but in that, and this is, I think, a Democratic Party writ large, and this is something for Republicans to be concerned of, could be wary of, cognizant of. In their arrogance, in their sense of entitlement, how quickly they'll defend themselves, they find their own incompetence. So if they didn't have Roy Cooper, they wouldn't have won a statewide election in 20 some odd years or something like that. I mean, the Democratic Party here in North Carolina is incredibly incompetent. With regards to the Republicans, I think what Tony was saying was so correct. You have this bifurcation in both parties. Although what I saw happen with the Democratic Party was, and this shows the incompetence of the progressives in the Democratic Party, Bernie Sanders, AOC, and others, the way that they are trying to attach their policies to the Biden campaign now. So what happened last week was Joe Biden's campaign came out with a number of progressive policies, one of them being, say, canceling all medical debt. The idea being is that Sanders and the progressives are seeing in the Biden campaign's weakness a willingness for the Biden campaign to now take on progressive things to stop the bleeding, right? So that if we offer progressive policies, maybe that will stop the bleed out we have over Gaza, say, especially.
Yeah.
And it's a terrible decision by the progressives. It's short-sighted. It attaches their policies to a losing campaign. It's going to allow the conservatives and the centrists within the Democratic Party, to say that Biden lost because of progressive policies. So, you see this poor strategic decision-making over and over and over again within the Democratic Party. The Republican Party, going forward, it'll be interesting to see who he does select as a vice president. God, I hope not it's Nikki Haley, but there's already been, I think, enough things that would suggest that, and Tony, please correct me if I'm wrong, that you're looking at having some neoconservatives possibly within a second Trump cabinet, a Tom Cotton maybe, or someone like that. So, I mean, chasing these snakes fully out of DC I think is very far away.
So we should have a separate discussion on this, because we could talk about this, gentleman, for another hour. Let me say that, Matt, you are correct. But we need to. I think it's much more complicated than you understand, because some of us may have spoken to President Trump about some of this, maybe. And I can't get in a lot of detail, but I think he recognizes the dangers of the neocons. I'll put it that way. But with that said, the neocons still control a wide swath of the Republican Party. So I think he learned some lessons from last time. I have to be careful what I say, because I have some things I want to say to him later on down the road. But I am not a neocon. You guys know I'm a Reagan guy, and I don't believe in the unlimited spending. Matt, we've talked about this. I'm for an effective, not expensive defense. Yeah. I think we all recognize the American people are being lied to on a daily basis by both sides. And that's something that I think we should all focus on. And I'd like to believe Trump's going to be wiser than he was last time. Just saying. Well,
let's certainly hope that way. And listen, I know we've gone on a little bit longer than normal today, but this is a really, really unusual and critical situation. So we had to give it some extra time to really thoroughly cover it. But I'm really grateful for both of you guys coming on. Some terrific conversation here and great ideas. And would love to have you guys both back on once, in 4 or 5 days, once we get some more answers to some of these questions we have. And we'll see if those answers make any sense. But in the meantime, I appreciate you guys sticking with us here. At 4 o'clock this afternoon, we're actually going to have another show on today where we're going to look at something that Tony mentioned earlier, and that's the pier from hell that we disastrously fell apart in Gaza. So we have some folks that are going to help us take a look at that. A new person here from Defense Priorities, Alex Legolas. So come back and join us at 4 o'clock if you have the time. We'd love to have you back on here. Be sure and like and subscribe and share this with your friends, folks. The analysis you get here, you just don't get anywhere else. Thank you very much. We'll see you this afternoon on Daniel Davis Deep Dive.